Good afternoon, and welcome to A Beer with the Old Growler. I'm Pete LaFrance, the Old Growler, and I'm glad to be with you on this Friday. It is the 19th of June, 2020. Just about 5 o'clock. There it is. The clock just clicked. Well, if it's a digital, so that's exactly what it did. It clicked to 5 o'clock, and so therefore it's time for beer. Exactly, and most of the time I wouldn't be sitting here. No, I wouldn't. I'd be out at one of my favorite bars. I tell you, well, one of them is the Henry Street Ale House over in Brooklyn Heights. If not there, Bar Tabac over in Cobble Hill. And if not there, well, then it would be the, it'd be Colony on Atlantic Avenue. And if not Colony on Atlantic Avenue, it would be the Long Island Bar on Atlantic Avenue. Well, there's so many of them, but they're closed down. This is the 94th day, the 94th day of being sheltering in place, or as they call it here in New York, being paused. Well, on Monday, supposedly, other things happen. We get to eat outside, food delivered to us, hands off, or I don't know how they're going to do it, but supposedly we go into phase two. And since we're going into phase two here in New York, that means that there's a little bit that I can get out and do a little bit of exploring, a little bit of interviewing, visit a few of the brew pubs and a few of the breweries, always wearing a mask, of course, which means that this is the last edition of the Old Growlers every day of the week presentation. Oh, I'll be back, don't worry. Probably Mondays and Fridays. Mondays to start things off, and Fridays to sum up the week and to see what has been happening. Anyways, I appreciate everyone who has been with me all along, and I appreciate those of you who have just visited, because we've got a playlist that you really have to see it, because it's over 65 of them, and that's a lot of tasting beers and a lot of talking to the Old Growler. Well, it's now 2 minutes past 5 o'clock. It's time for a beer. Uh-oh, I can hear everybody shuddering. That's not a beer. This is what it's called here in Brooklyn now, a to-go cup. See, we're allowed to-go cups. So I went over to get my growler of beer, and, well, I got an extra to-go cup. As you can see, it's summertime, and the Old Growler is ready for summer. That is for sure. Well, we have a German beer hiding out today. We're not going to, this is semi-celebration. So this is a Weihenstephaner. And so we've traveled across the ocean to Germany to get some refreshment, some celebratory refreshment. Step away from the camera, especially the computer. If you were with me 2 days ago, I showed you how to properly pour a beer. And there we have a nice properly poured beer. It's a little bit heavy on the head. Let's see. That's about 2 fingers. That is. So, greetings, Mayor and Dave. Good to see you. All right. Well, as I said, the last of the every day of the week, or well, every weekday, cheers. And I've been doing this for 65 times, and I've meant it every single time. Oh, I'll tell you, a well-made beer, a traditional well-made beer, there's nothing like it. I mean, anything is traditionally done. If it's been well, I was about to say, if something's been done for over 100 years, then it must be good. Well, there's a few things that have been done for 100 years that aren't good. But as far as beer goes, if it's been done for 300 or 400 years, they have to be doing something right. Huh? Well, cheers to the boys at Weihenstephan. Oh, also, well, cheers. Yes, wait, it is. It's an outstanding beer. Okay. Well, for those of you who have been with me before, welcome and welcome back. For those of you who are new, well, this is, as I say, a beer with the Old Growler, and we're having a beer here because all the pubs, bars, and taverns have been closed down. And first of all, it's a great time to taste a beer, a new beer, and that's the first part of the beer with the Old Growler. The second part is I get to reminisce about my life as a professional barfly. So the first part, we have some tastings, and the second part, I get to reminisce, and that's pretty much the way it is. So, how do we do our beer tastings? Well, today we're gonna return. Well, first of all, let me show you how it's done. If you go to the playlist that says tastings at the Henry Street Ale House or Henry Street Ale House tastings, you're going to see that the three of us, at least the three of us, Jerry Scott, the bartender manager, Jim Bennis, a buddy of mine, myself, and at least one or two other people, get to see if a beer meets expectations. And by doing that, what we do is we take a look at the beer bottle or can. Every once in a while, we were a spirit entered into it, and so, but we're all friends in fermentation. It's all right. And what we do is we would read the label of the can or the bottle, and as any consumer would do, and see if it met and see what we expected. And if it met expectations, it got a thumbs up. And if it didn't meet expectations, it got a thumbs down. So let's see. I'm going to be revisiting both of these today. It's a double tasting, mainly because this is the last, as I say, weekday presentation, continuous weekday presentation. And so I'm going to taste two of these just to celebrate. And both of them we've tried before, and I will leave links in the box below that'll show you exactly what it was like the first time we tasted these. This is a return visit. In fact, I think this is a third visit for this little fella. But that is how things work here. So, anyways, we'll see if they meet expectations. That Weihenstephaner is quite a treat. I'm going to put the top on the growler there a little bit tighter than normal to see if it can retain a little bit of the carbonation. All right. Well, let's start with, I think we ought to start with, let's see, we've got the choices between an IPA and a hazy IPA. Okay. The challenge here now is the fact that I'm not a real fan of hazy IPAs. NE, they call them IPAs, which is either Northeast or New England. My personal thought is that they simply hadn't invested in a filtration system. However, some of them are really tasty. And so we're going to take a look and a revisit to Lord Hobo's 617 Hazy IPA. Now, they have rebranded themselves, and so it's definitely, you can see that there's a crown on that. So there's a Lord Hobo right there. Now, the first time I tasted this, I was going, why would they call it 617? Well, there's a reason for it. The alcohol by volume is 6.17%. I kind of like I've seen 6% and I've seen 7%, but it's unusual to see the 0.%. So I got to give them, they have a sense of humor. Okay. New England born and bred, brewed. It's not bred, it's brewed. New England born and brewed ale. And we switch around to the back, and that's about, whoops, hold on. We got a little information over here that, let's see. They are in Woburn, Massachusetts, if I can say that right. Woburn, Massachusetts. Woburn, Massachusetts. And let's see, does it tell me anything else about this, such as alcohol content? Well, we've got the alcohol content, but I'm not too sure about the international bittering units. So if I was a customer and I was looking at this, I would know that it was relatively high in alcohol. So That's a major selling point. Hazy IPA, that's a major selling point. And it's kind of a cool can, a black, intimidating kind of a thing. Arr! Especially with the high alcohol. Arr! Okay. Well, let's have some fun. Crack this open again. Well, it won't be again, but we're going to crack it open. All right. Safe distance away from the computer. We're going to do a proper pour. The reason I'm using, as I've always said, the wine glasses is because that makes all of the tastings semi-universal as far as being able to perceive all of the different aromas and flavors in a beer. There's no way I'm going to get 2 fingers of head on this beer. Okay. Is it a hazy ale? It's a hazy ale. Saying it's an IPA means it's got a lot of hops to it. So let's find out. It's got a little hops. Oh, Ronald, good to see you, my friend. How is it down there in the south? It's not too bad up here. It's a little warm, but not too bad. Okay, let's, as I say, I'm not getting too much of some aromas as far as the hops go. And it's not going to kick me over either with the, hey, have a visitor here down there in the Great Southland, and it is 92 degrees down there. I do believe, pardon me, I believe Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken. But cheers. If anything, it's a very mild IPA. I mean, it's not offensive, but, and it does have, if you allow it to, if you allow it to taste it, actually. I wouldn't say it grows on you because that's like a fungus or something, and fungus is not good in beer, just yeast. And so, well, it's a nice little beer. I tell you, what would I with this? An apple and some maybe Colby cheddar cheese might be nice. You have the bite of the cheddar cheese and a little bit of a bite there. Oh, wait a minute. Ron, if I may say, Ron, I just have a report from New Hampshire that it's 92 up there as well. So we have a heat wave on the East Coast. I haven't checked to see what the temperature is here. See if I've got my telephone here. My mobile. Check out my mobile. Let's see what it says. Weather channel. I open the weather channel. Well, sometimes it's right. Sometimes 68. Bugger that. Ah, 77. Oh, paradise. Here in Brooklyn, 77. I don't have a humidity on that. It feels like 77. But see there, you kids. Brooklyn, a wonderful place to live. Yes, sir, Bob. Except that we had, since I'm at the foot of the Brooklyn Bridge, we've had already today 2 half-hour demonstrations, peaceful demonstrations, but noisy and loud demonstrations going across the bridge. So that's the situation we're in here. So yeah, we got great weather all the way around. In any event, DFME2, I seem to remember that I was really impressed with this for some reason. And on second tasting, it might be because, you see, that's the thing about beer tasting. I started out the Weihenstephan, and then came to the IPA or to the hazy IPA. So my taste buds were going, "What are you doing to us?" And they were right. I was abusing them. I apologize. And I think that is one of the tough things about beer tasting is once you taste one beer and you try and taste another one, it's okay. You know something? I'm not going to taste these today. I'm going to enjoy them. Huh? I enjoyed them the first time. I'm going to enjoy it since they're still in the fridge. I enjoyed them the first time. I'm going to enjoy them the second time. And I must say, the 617 is a well balanced beer. Definitely well balanced. There's not about it. And all of the praise that I was, all of the things that I was looking for in this beer, all of the things that I was disappointed with in this beer, was because I was thinking about this beer. Another small problem with beer tasting: you have to keep your mind focused. Huh? All right. Well, Lord Hobo, you sit right over there, and for God's sake, don't fall off. By all the gods. All right. Now, the second one we're going to try just for fun is a DFM2. Now, this was an experimental hop beer. I have not yet found out what type of hops are in here, but apparently they're international experimental hop series. There's international hops, and it's kind of a citrus thing. And again, I will put the link in the information box below as to what the first tasting was like. But this was the one I seem to remember as being a really outstanding beer. So I'm excited. Be careful what you ask for. You might get it, Peter. Yeah, I was the one. I was the one because most mornings for the last years, I've walked across the Brooklyn Bridge in the morning at 7 o'clock, and it's been packed with tourists and bicyclists and fashion photographers and all kinds of people. And oh, geez, it would take 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes to walk. Nah, I said, geez, I wish all these people would disappear. Yeah, well, I got what I asked for. So it's my fault. You want to blame somebody? Blame me. All right. Here we go. We've got the right there. The DFM2. Sounds like a missile, doesn't it? We're firing the DFM2. Ready? Aim. Fire for effect. Another hazy one. Oh, I remember this one. I remember it's not, it doesn't lie. All right. Oh, yes. This is as I remember it. Oh. Oh, yes. I probably said it before, but whatever hops they put in here is fantastic. It has a little bit of a mango finish. I believe that the glass might not have been totally clean. That's why it didn't hold a head, but that is a spectacular beer. That's worth that's a fine beer right there, boy. I tell you, I'm gonna go get myself another 4-pack or 8-pack of these. And that's the fun thing about tasting beer. It really is, because when you find one that you really like, you stay with it. You always experiment. That's always the important thing to do, because I have never met the perfect beer yet. And I am grateful that I have never met the perfect beer yet, because if I did, then it wouldn't be fun anymore. I'm going to hold on to this one. This is what I call an empty can beer. And I'm going to move on to, well, first of all, I want to thank everyone who sat through this. You guys were great. And for those of you who are new and who have just wandered in way past the 19th of June, 2020, this is if you will have certainly heard of the pandemic. This is this production is a sigh of relief, and it is. It is a sigh of relief. I've wandered off script, definitely. If you want to watch some of the beginning, start from the beginning and work your way forward, and you can get pretty much a diary of what it was like to live in Brooklyn at the end of the Brooklyn Bridge between March, April, May, and June. Almost 94 days. Always, it is exactly 94 days. But anyways, thank you very much. And if you if you like it, please. I'm going to be on social media. I'll put down when I'll be live, and always check this channel, because on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I'll be doing tasting notes. I'll be publishing something at 5 o'clock every day, so do check back at this channel. And if you don't want to miss anything, click on that little blue bell down there, and that way you'll get an alert every single time we go on hunt. So I want to thank you all very much for that, and have a great recovery wherever you are. And I certainly hope that the recovery here in New York is slow and steady and safe. That's the important thing. I want all of you to please stay safe. Well, now I'd like to take a while to pontificate, and it's called My Life as a Professional Barfly. And by that I mean the fact that I have been writing about beer and wine, beer and food for a while. Beer Basics, the first book, Cooking and Eating with Beer, the second book, published by John Wiley, 1995, 1997. I haven't published a book since then because it has been online work, and I have been a happy blogger, a happy vlogger, and a happy contributor to many of the electronic media out there. So one of the things that I do is I interview. I interview brewers, I interview beverage managers, I interview bar managers, I interview people who are in the bars. And that is the most exciting thing that I find. It's wonderful. Who, what, when, where, and why to everybody. And the interesting thing, what have I found out as a professional barfly? I'll tell you what I found out. I found out, for the most part, and I say the most part because I don't want to say every. Because when you say every, well, it's not accurate. For the most part, the people that I have met who have been in the hospitality industry, the bar business, taverns, restaurants, even hotels, hotel managers, all of these people, the ones who are truly successful, you say, well, is it education? Maybe. Is it experience? Maybe. Is it personality? Maybe. I'll tell you what I've discovered. I've discovered that it's in their blood. Similar to myself as a writer. Similar to, I believe it was, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a really impressive defensive football player for the New York Giants. And they asked him, why do you play football? And his answer was, because I do. I've often spoken of bartender Jerry Scott, a good friend of mine, and he's been a bartender in Brooklyn for years and years and years. And one day, after having a particular tussle with a manuscript and a video, I sat in the Henry Street Ale House and I started to complain, which I try not to, but I did. And I said to him, Jerry, I'm beginning to wonder. I'm a certain age. I've done a certain amount. Why do I continue to do this? And his answer to me was, because. Well, that's why I'm here. Because. I can't seem to do anything else. Writing, that's my penchant. That's where I really shine. Videos, I'm not too bad at. I'm going to, well, I wouldn't say embarrass myself, but I'm going to show off a little bit. But when it comes to a radio voice, that's exactly what you're looking for. And most of the time, Pete LaFrance always delivers on the sounds that you want to listen to. Or do you have something to talk about? I'd be glad to talk to you about it. All you have to do is leave a message down there in the comments box, and I'll be glad to talk to you about it. So maybe it's podcasts in the future. I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows what's in the future, that's for sure. You can guess, you can make a stab at it. So far, every time I haven't been too accurate. I'm not saying I'm not better than any other man, but I'm saying I'm just as good. It's a quote from Oklahoma, Ann Eller. I believe that's Act 3 or 4. It's just before the cowboy and the farmhand can be friends. Oh, that's a good beer. I just mentioned Oklahoma, a play by Rodgers and Hammerstein. And I found it interesting that, and I was in a production in college, Norwich University in Northfield, Vermont, the oldest private military university in the United States. And I was in a small part, but it struck me that Oscar and Hammerstein in Oklahoma, and we're talking the 60s, I believe it was the 50s or 60s, had a character in Oklahoma called Ali Hackham. That's how they pronounced it in Oklahoma, Ali Hackham. But you knew it was Ali Hakim, a Persian. And they called him a Persian, an Arab. Isn't it interesting how they were able to put in that into a musical? The other was the cowboy and the farmer can be friends. The cowboys hated the farmers because they put up barbed wire around their properties, and that means the cowboys couldn't run their cattle through there. Similar today to urban and rural. And yet, Oscars and Hammerstein were able to make something that worked. Even more, I think, important was South Pacific. You have to be taught. For those of you who haven't seen South Pacific, the musical, just look up the words to You Have to Be Taught. Well, it's getting toward the end of this. And it's been a good trip. For those of you who stayed with me, thank you very much. The fact that you subscribe, I appreciate. The fact that you gave me a thumbs up, I really appreciate. And I truly would appreciate some comments, because that way I'll know in which direction to go over the next 100 and something days. Thank you very much. I'm Pete LaFrance, the Old Growler, wishing all of you safe trips wherever you may be going.